Hey, I'm Desiree with DesYoga.com and Me, Myself, and Food.com, and this is Beginner's Hip Series. Before we get into our hips, we want to think about lengthening our hamstrings as well as waking up the feet and ankles. We can do this in either an active or loose forward fold or an active or loose legs up the wall position. For an active forward fold, we want to start by moving the flesh of our seat back so that we can be in a more neutral place of our pelvis. We're going to extend the arms up. We're going to either bring the feet into a flex position or pointing the feet away and pulling the toes towards us, almost like a Barbie foot position. Stretching up nice and tall, finding any little bit of extra length that you can, hinging at the hips and coming down. Coming down as far as you can until your ears can't stay with the arms anymore. Then bring your hands down to either grab onto your feet, your ankles, or your shin, depending on where your flexibility is. Pulling your bra line through will lengthen out the back. And holding this for 3 breaths. If you've got the flexibility, you can bend the elbows and create a little bit more space that way. If you'd like to do a loose forward fold to start off this practice, you can either have active feet or relaxed feet and just slumping over the legs. We'll begin to release the lower back and the upper portion of the thighs. To get into the legs up the wall, get it nice and close to the wall. Come down on your side and then swing your legs around, centering yourself on your mat, arriving with your legs up the wall, hands down by your sides. If you've got really tight hamstrings, you may be further away from the wall than I am. The thing to remember if you are further away from the wall is just not to hyperextend the knees and always keep active feet. I like to be a little bit closer. So I'm going to come right in, find my active feet, and this will start to lengthen out the hamstrings. From here, we can begin to wake up our feet, so strengthening our arches by pointing and flexing the feet. Another great foot routine to strengthen our arches is to flex, then curl the toes, and then point the feet with the toes curled, and then flip the toes towards you, ending up in that Barbie-like foot. So again, we're going to flex, curl, point, and flip, flex, curl, point, and flip, flex, curl, point, and flip, flex, curl. One more. My feet are feeling nice and warm, so we're going to bring some flexibility into the ankles now. Starting with some ankle circles one way. And then coming into some ankle circles in the opposite way. Good. So everything below the hip is now warmed up to get out of this legs up the wall position. We're going to bend the knees, always rolling off to our right side, using your upper body strength to push you up and coming back onto the mat. To move into this hip series, we're going to move up the mat, making sure there's lots of room behind you. You're going to hook the hands underneath the knees and come down nice and slow. Once you've arrived on the mat, just checking in with your body. We want to make sure that the hips are level so that one hip is not higher than the other, and that the pelvis is nice and flat. Think of your pelvis as a bowl, and it can either tip to you or tip away from you, and you want it to be flat so that no water spills out of that bowl. I like to sight line down my midline of my body and just check that the pelvis is nice and flat. Keeping our neutral pelvis, arms are going to come down by your side, and you're going to pick up the feet and just hug the knees into your chest. For time purposes, We're only going to breathe 3 breaths in each pose, but I encourage you as you become more familiar with this series to extend that. In my home practice, I'll breathe 10 breaths in each pose as a minimum. We're going to take that interlacing over our right leg and extend that left leg out. Always keeping our feet active. We're going to arrive in half wind remover for 3 breaths. We're going to bend that left leg, let go of our interlacing, hands come down by your side, and extend that right leg up. From here, we're going to flex the foot to lower and point the toe to raise. Flex the foot to lower, point the toe to raise. Flex to lower, point to raise. We're going to do 10 rounds. And that's 5. That's 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to arrive with that right leg extended back up. We're going to externally rotate the right leg, bending at the knee, and placing the ankle of the right leg on the bent left leg. This pose is called thread the needle. Checking in with our hips, making sure they're nice and level and that the pelvis is nice and flat. We're going to pick up that left leg, pulling that right leg in towards us, and either interlacing with your right finger, right thumb on top, behind the back of that left thigh, or if you've got the flexibility, you can go over the shin, or if you've got longer arms and you're more flexible, you can create a bind. But for where I'm at in my practice, I just go behind the thigh and then I think of rocking my pelvis away from me, and that will deepen the stretch. 3 breaths. We're going to let go of that interlacing. That left foot is going to return to the mat. Hands come down by your sides. Extending that right leg up, pushing into the left foot and stabilizing the pelvis by pushing into the sacrum. We're going to come into some hip circles. Tracing a circle with a flat bottom foot on the ceiling. We're going to do 10 circles one way. And then 10 circles the other way. Really feeling the movement coming from within the hip. When those 10 are complete, we're going to cross that right leg over top of the left, like you were sitting cross-legged in a chair, checking in with those hips, making sure that they're level. And then picking up the left leg, pulling the legs into you, and crossing again, right finger, right thumb on top, either behind the thigh, over the shin, or if you've got the flexibility, it can be a bind. I've got short arms, so I'm going to stick behind the thigh. 3 breaths. That's 3. We're going to let go of the interlacing, extending those arms out to make a T, lowering that left foot till it touches the mat, picking up the hips, swinging them out to the right side, and slowly, slowly, slowly letting the knees fall down to the left side. Finishing off this right side with a twist. You can take this stretch into the neck by taking your gaze over your right hand. After you've finished your 3 breaths, bring your head back up to a neutral position, pushing into your hands and using your core strength to pull the legs back up, pushing into the foot to level out the hips. We're going to uncross that right leg, extend that right leg up, and slowly, 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 gently bringing that right leg down to the mat. From here, we can interlace left hand, left finger on top, pulling that left knee into us, repeating on the left side. Letting go of the interlacing, bending that right leg, hands come down beside you, extending that left foot, and we're going to flex to lower, point to raise, flex to lower, point to raise. Keep going. That's 5. That's 7. And that's 10. Arriving with that left leg extended, externally rotating, bending at the knee. The left ankle will be placed on the right knee. Picking up that right leg, interlacing with your left hand, left thumb on top, and pulling the knee towards you. Thread the needle on the left side. Again, your options are either behind the knee, over the shin, or a bind. Active feet, shoulders drawing down the back. Think of that neutral pelvis. Letting go of the interlacing. That right leg comes down, hands come down by your side, extending the left leg, pushing into the right foot, stabilizing the pelvis, coming into hip circles on this side. That's 10 one way. And that's 10 the other way. We're going to cross that left leg over top of the right, leveling out the hips, picking up the legs, binding what is appropriate for you. Letting go of the interlacing. Right foot comes onto the mat, arms come out as a T, picking up those hips, swinging them to the left, and then slowly, gently letting those legs come down. Oh, twist feels so good. Gaze goes over that left shoulder. That's our 3 breaths. Our gaze comes back up, using our core strength to pull those legs back up, leveling out the hips. Hands come down by your side. You're going to let go of the interlacing, slowly lower that left leg to the ground. It arrives on the ground, and that's it. Rolling off onto our right side and pushing ourselves up. Thank you very much for joining me today. Namaste.